and welcome to ADHD Friendly. I'm Patty Blinderman. I'm an ADHD coach, and today we are doing an episode on how to organize your hobbies. So this is episode 141. We're going to get to this exciting creation behind me in a second, but we're going to start, as we always do, with a celebration. And the very first celebration, I brought in my little counter over here. So we're going to flip for new subscribers. Welcome, new subscribers. I think that episode on ADHD and sex drive really struck a nerve. So we're up 885.
That's amazing.
I know. So welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to pause for a moment and intentionally subscribe. So excited to have you here. This is a different recording area than we typically have. Yeah. So I'm struggling with the sun. It is blaring hot where I am right now. I mean, just oppressively hot. And the sun is just beaming. And so we've had a really hard time trying to get it lit the way that I don't want it to look like I'm in a dark cave.
Right.
I'm actually in what I call my happy room. And it's the brightest room in the house, and it's actually working against me here because the light from the sun coming through the window is getting in the way of the light that I need to record this. So I'm hoping it comes across as happy and cheerful and positive.
Yeah.
If not, I'll use my energy to make it that way. But welcome new subscribers. My other celebration is, I shared before, I was able to purchase with my reward, as you guys know, I've been using accountability by checking in each episode and sharing what I purchased each week. And I set a goal for myself that if I didn't spend more than $20 of impulse / wants each week. So not counting groceries and things I need, but things that I would classify as things I would, I could totally have done without, but I purchased them because I wanted them.
Yeah.
So I set myself a limit of $20. And if I made it 2 weeks without spending more than $20, which was a significant savings because I was averaging $90 to $100 a week on things that I felt like I needed at the time, but in honest retrospect, they were all wants. And so instead of spending that much, I built in a reward at the end of the 2 weeks. And this was my reward, was the 3 IKEA Billy bookshelves. Don't they look great?
They look amazing.
I mean, this is such a bargain in terms of bookshelves.
Yeah, I love them.
They're $69 each.
That's amazing.
So, with tax, just under $230. Wow. So it was a little, but really the tax is what put it over my $200 reward budget. But it was so sparkly, and it really kept me connected to my intention to not buy things. I would put things in my cart and I was like, but you got to write it down. And if you write it down, when you buy it, you're going to have to tell people on the podcast that you bought it.
Right.
And then I don't get my sparkly reward. So my intention was to have this in place to organize my hobbies and to be able to share with you some tips for what I learned in organizing my hobbies, which is what I have going on behind me, and what I've learned in the research. I'm going to share some just really ADHD friendly tips to how to get your hobbies organized in a way that they're pulling you into doing them more frequently and you're enjoying them, instead of them being a toleration of, I spent this money and I had these intentions of it's, doing this thing that I thought was going to bring me joy, and now it's getting in my way. So we're going to talk about that. All right. But before that, what did I buy this week?
Yeah, what did you buy this week, Patty?
I'm past my little celebration, but I do have another reward built in. So here's what I didn't buy anything online, and that's been my downfall, is the online shopping. It's so stinking easy.
Yeah.
So I've done things like take my credit card off of Amazon, so I have to put it back in to buy something. Yeah. That little bit of extra effort.
Going to get your bag.
It creates resistance.
Yeah, you're not gonna get up and do it.
Doesn't alleviate all of it, but it does eliminate most of it.
Yeah.
But here's what happened this weekend. Becca, I know you had a neighborhood yard sale 2 weekends ago.
Yes, we did.
This past weekend, there was just one yard sale. Just one. Went on my morning walk past the sign, yard sale today. And I knew the house had been on the market. So I thought, it's a moving sale.
So that's good one.
So I walked over there later that day, and they had a bunch of Star Wars things.
No.
Yeah. So here's where I landed. I did spend $78 at the yard sale, but okay, $45 of that went towards a birthday gift for one of my kiddos whose birthday is next week. So I was already looking for something. So that was a need in terms of, and it was something I already budgeted. So I'm not counting that you guys comments 141 if you want to call me on my shopping, but this is how I rationalize in my brain to stay within my
Yeah.
spending limits for my goal. $45 was for birthday, and $20, there was two portable record players. One of them he was able to get working, the other one he wasn't, so he just gave them both to me for $20.
Cool.
And so one is for another birthday gift, the other one is
Yeah.
just, I'll give it to my other kid.
Fun.
So again,
Yeah.
so 65 of the 78
Mhm.
birthday gifts are
Right.
being treated
Still
as gifts.
for someone
Mhm.
else. Mhm.
$8 of the remaining money was totally impulsive, totally want, totally not need. One was Star Wars Monopoly. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I have Star
Ooh.
Wars Monopoly. That was another year ago. One was like 6 months ago. One was Star Wars Risk.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It was literally $5.
Oh.
And the other was Star Wars Battleship with all the ships, like Darth Vader's ship,
Yeah.
Boba Fett's ship,
So
or
you
the
can
ship.
sink- Oh,
It was $3.
oh, you have to.
I ask you, could you have resisted that?
No.
So that was $8. So
And that would be way more than $3 if you got it like
yes.
in store.
yes, and then there's an extra $5. I know I spent it. I couldn't kind of tease out what I spent it on. So I have like $13 this week that I spent on once, even though I can't remember what the other $5. I know how much I gave them, so I know
Yeah.
I spent 78. And maybe my math's wrong, and you're like, Patty, you just added up $78. That could be true too. But I'm calling it $13 on once. So I still met my goal for
Goal.
week one
Mhm.
of this next 2-week goal of not spending more than $20 on something that isn't a need. But it was very sparkly. I'm not gonna lie. I had a little bit of a shopper's high after it because I had so many Star Wars things. I can't. And here's the thing, guys. I've shared this before. I'm in a family of people that don't like board games. I keep buying board games, hoping that this is because I can't
This is the
imagine
one.
why would they not want to play this? Why? Come on, it's the same game, but it's Star Wars.
It's so fun.
I'm so excited. So we'll see if some of my kids will play these games with me.
Yeah, these Battleship. Come on now.
I know. Star Wars Battleship. Come on.
now.
Come on. I'd buy it again.
Yeah.
I have this was now 4 days ago. Not an ounce of remorse. I would absolutely,
Battleship's always
if anything,
fun.
I am so grateful because it's the kind of thing I would have left and kicked myself for not
For not
buying.
getting.
Yeah, so I'm really proud of myself for not even hesitating. I was like, done. I
That's
opened it up, checked to
fine.
make sure everything was in there. I was like, yeah, this thing is mine. All right. Next, a really quick ad from our sponsor. I realize I keep walking forward and cutting off my head. Sorry. I'm here. I'm all here. So really quick ad. Our sponsor is ADHD-Friendly. So jump ahead 30 seconds if you don't want to hear it. I totally get that. I hate ads. But I do want to share, this is a very special opportunity. I have my ADHD membership community and my ADHD-friendly membership community, I should say. And within the community, I am now offering this special thing. So if you're not a member yet and it interests you to support you and your brain to thrive with ADHD, I invite you to check it out. I'm offering a live personal owner's manual course. All right, so it starts Wednesday, July 10th. So that's 1 week from now. The course is 7 weeks. It's a live course. It will be recorded and added to the membership. So if you join and you can't make maybe, you want to go back and revisit the course, it will eventually end up in the membership. But right now I'm offering this special deal. If you sign up for the course, which is $695, you get 1 year of membership into ADHD-Friendly included in that fee of $695. Done. You get a year of access to everything in the membership. It will renew each year, so you could cancel if you want before the end of the year renewal for the following year, but it will lock you in at $695, which right now the annual membership is $950 if you join on an annual rate instead of a monthly rate.
Mhm.
So it's significantly cheaper than it is going to be going forward. So it's a great way, if you just want to join and you don't want to take the course, that's fine. You still lock in that fee. So I invite you to check it out at ADHDfriendly.com if you are looking to support your brain to thrive with ADHD.
Woohoo.
All right, back to, I'm sorry if you jumped 30 seconds, that was probably more like 45 or 60 seconds. Time. It's a blind thing with ADHD, so I apologize. Okay, now for our tip for the week. And our tip is you guys who listen to my podcast, check it out frequently, know Insight in Mind, ISIM, is one of my absolute favorite go-to strategies to support my brain wiring with ADHD. So keep things in sight, in mind, keep them ism. Everything I did for my hobby organization kept that in mind. That that's been the challenge. I shared beforehand. I had things in 12 different places, in different little nooks and crannies and bins and underneath cabinets all around the house. I couldn't remember what I had. I kept buying the same things over and over. I couldn't find things I already started, so I'd pick up a new project. It was insane. I literally told Becca, I found another tray of things that was shoved underneath another cabinet after I organized all this. So I still need to organize a few more things, but here's the interesting thing, because I have a place to put them now.
Yeah.
I'm not at all overwhelmed. I was like, oh, I have more things to kind of
I get to put away.
Put them away and get them where I need them to be so I can get to them when I want to. So keep things in sight, in mind. And when I say that, I'm talking about shelves, I'm talking about bins. So I have a couple of bins here I just, want to highlight. Clear plastic bins are a game changer. They're, even if you think about storing, I know a lot of people will like store their shoes in plastic bins.
Yeah.
Keep them transparent so you can see into them. If you have to take it off a shelf, open it up and look and see what's inside, that requires effort. And that effort will create resistance, and we won't do it. We'll just leave it in there. It's where all my yarn and things were. They were in bins I couldn't see into, and I forgot what was in them. Out of sight, out of mind. I bought it again.
Yeah.
It's like that ADHD tax. It keeps coming back. I use jars, glass jars, to organize a lot of my yarn because I can see it and it's pretty and sparkly.
So pretty.
So that's
And
one
different
of the
sizes. I
different
love.
things. Yep. And again, labels. Keeping things in sight, in mind can just be if you have a bin that you can't see into. And I do have some. I have like this guy. And honestly, I don't have a label for him yet. I need to make a little tag. I don't remember what's in there right now. Oh, it's all of my, but that's what I mean. Like I literally just, and I'm like, if I can't see it, it doesn't exist. I don't remember. I can't see into it. I also keep this little guy sticking out here. So I remember a duster. I have open shelves. I was talking to my friends at my knit group, and they're like, oh, does your new shelving system have doors so you can close it so they don't get dusty? My answer, no, because if I had to open doors to get to it, to put things away, I won't do it.
Right.
And I always say, this is one of those things that can feel really like, oh my gosh, get over yourself. You can open a door. I won't do it. I know that about myself. I lean into it so I don't get doors, but I will keep a duster handy. If I have to walk where I usually keep this would be the laundry room. If I have to go to the laundry, I'm not going to dust the shelf. If it's right here, I'm like, oh, that's dusty.
Oh, let me
I
just
make
get
it
in
quick
there.
and easy to access, and it's super because the glass will get really dusty, and then it's kind of looking like
Smart.
yeah. And then I can tuck it here, but I leave it sticking out to remind me
It's in there.
that's where it is.
Yeah.
Because if I'm like, where did I put that thing? I now have resistance. I've got to think about it. I'm not going to use it. So keep it in sight, in mind. And this is true for anything that you are trying to either build a habit around. So you can see, like, I like to, like I always said, like I leave my shoes in front of the door to remind me to go for a walk. So I have to move them to open the door. That's a visual prompt. Keeping things in sight, in mind is one of the best ways to support your brain if you have a strong visual processing modality, which most of us with ADHD do. So that's my tip for the week. All right, on to the topic, which is my exciting organization of my hobby. Yay. So I have 3 hobbies here. And guys, I literally really put my effort into getting the bookshelves up, which was a project. Anybody that's assembled IKEA furniture knows. And I did outsource, that's a celebration too. I outsourced it to one of my kiddos to go and actually pick them up. I was like, I want these, I want 3 of them, go buy them, and then assemble them for me. And when we assembled them, I realized they cover some vents on the wall. And my husband was like, because you do have to affix the shelves to the wall. They have brackets so they don't fall down.
Yeah.
Right as my husband was on the ladder getting ready to do that, I was like, does it matter that the vent is blocking? Because I just thought, what if the air conditioning breaks? And you guys know I hate the heat.
Right.
So the idea of air conditioning going out because I did something that was completely avoidable.
Yeah.
And so I ended up creating a couple of additional hour projects because we had to take it apart and cut out the panel on the back. It's on the very bottom, and I'm blocking it with other bins, so you can't see it. Which is what got in the way of me doing it in the beginning, because I was like, oh, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. But then I was like, hey, is your future self going to be really mad if the air conditioning breaks?
Right.
So now the vents are clear and circulation is able to happen, and it's fabulous.
Yeah.
But I have 3 main hobbies. They are knitting, doing jigsaw puzzles, and reading. Now, I initially thought maybe I'll have like knitting it like, you know, kind of predominantly it's the hobby I have the most accessories for. And then I thought maybe I'll have like a couple of shelves for books that I'm in the process of reading.
Yeah.
Or like I have like a library section, so I remember which library books I have out, so they're not kind of taking up a lot of space all over the place. And maybe I'll have like a couple of shelves for puzzles, but I didn't like the way it looked. I'm still playing around with this. But right now, the way it's organized visually is very pleasing for me. I don't know if functionally it might need to be changed
Right.
as I am using it. But right now, I have it organized, so I have all of like my little like notions and everything's labeled, so I know what things are
Love it.
and how to find them. I have my really sparkly knitting books here. This is probably the game changer in terms of remembering what I'm doing and what I'm working on. So this is what I have in individual bags that are my current knitting projects. And this is what really surprised me when I pulled everything out of all of these little cubbies and hiding places. I have 7 projects that I am currently working on that are in different phases of completion. 2 of them are sweaters that I started more than a year ago and I forgot even existed.
Oh my gosh.
Now that's like a lot of yarn. Like, I mean, like I have like a lot of yarn that it's not even wound yet.
Yeah.
That one of them is like a more lightweight summer sweater. One of them is like a heavier, I need it for the winter sweater.
Yeah.
This is a heavier scarf. And the rest are socks. I have 3 pairs of socks I'm working on. Which is the gift for my daughter for her birthday.
Oh,
It's really cool. Knitting the galaxy,
very cool.
Death Star, really cool. But I made a mistake and I made it 2 times bigger. I don't know what I did. It's totally my focus with my ADHD.
Yeah.
And my lovely friend at the knit shop owner, helped me figure out what to do about it because every round took me like 30 minutes and I'm not undoing it. So we just figured it's going to be ginormous.
A big.
It's gonna be giant. It's gonna be giant. But it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I'm just continuing on. But now I can see everything. I know where it is. It's all in this one place. I can grab it. And I have all of my patterns in this bin right here. So I know where to find everything in one spot. It's a work in progress though. Like everything in a bin like that isn't the best, but it's for right now. I know they're all in one place, but I'd like to organize them a little bit better. But I can see it. I can get to the things when I need them. And because I'll be using it and interacting, I can change it up as I notice what will work for me to keep it up, right? So I really invite you to notice what's sparkly for you when you think about organizing whatever your hobbies are, whatever your crafts are. What would work for you that you don't have resistance when you think about setting it up and keeping it up? It's one thing to get it in place. It's another thing to keep it where it's going to continue working for you. And that's really about paying attention to what you're noticing about how it is working for you. So I have a couple of tips that came from Susan Pinsky, who is a professional organizer who specializes in ADHD. And she says, crafters and artists with ADHD have extra challenges staying organized. Yeah, that's the truth. It's really, really challenging. And Becca, like, who comes in, my assistant who comes in and sees the state, like, what do you think now that I have everything? I know like you couldn't see all the knitting everywhere, but I did have knitting like all over
in
this
certain
room.
areas.
Yeah.
I love the
And so
shelves.
now you can like see everything
It's
in one
colorful,
place.
it's sparkly, it's organized. It just looks so nice.
Yeah,
And
everything,
your heavy
everything
room,
fits,
yeah,
right?
fits perfectly.
And what I like is it also contains the space. So instead of me continuing to get things and shove them, it's like, well, if I buy that, do I have room
With
to
your
store that,
hobby
or do I
shelf.
need to put it on a list and finish something so I have room to then use it?
Yeah.
So here are some other ADHD friendly tips when it comes to organizing your hobbies. Keep your supplies in one location. Not like I was doing, where I had them literally in 12 different locations. I had pictures of all, like literally I took pictures, which is what created motivation to do something about it. I kept opening cabinets. Oh, there's more here. There's drawers here. Like they were everywhere. There was bins. I had like little like storage ottomans filled with knitting things. I forgot it even existed, let alone like what I was doing with it. So one location, it can be a corner. It can be, if you have a room, I know a number of people that have like a crafting room.
Yeah.
Good on you. That's fun. But like, I have to say, I resisted the idea of that because number one, I don't have a room to dedicate to it. But even if I did, am I going to go into that room? Like I'm in this room all the time. So it made sense to make the storage
right there.
And that's why I wanted it to be attractive, because if it wasn't, I wouldn't be comfortable having it out in the open in this room. I would feel the need to have it into a separate craft room. But this feels to me like I would feel like I would have people come in and be like, oh, this is to ignore this. I'd be like, check out my organization, check out my hobbies. Yeah. Number 2, limit yourself to a maximum of 3 hobbies. I'm super excited to realize I only had 3 hobbies when I saw that, because I know we can have many, many more hobbies
Yeah.
than that. Not limiting myself to how many within that hobby, but a maximum of 3 hobbies. Or they call them passion projects. More than that is way too difficult to keep up with, right?
Yeah.
So it might be kind of curating how many hobbies you have going on. And if you were going to pick 3, what are the top 3 that you have the time, interest, motivation, and money to commit to it?
Sure.
So Lisa Woodruff says that she's another professional organizer, and she recommends whittling them down to the ones that you are willing to invest your time and effort into keeping up with them. So for me, I always think, am I stressed keeping up with it, or am I excited about keeping up with it, right? Am I like, ooh, I want to take a class and learn how to do this, or I want to join a group and talk about books, right? So if it's creating something that's pulling me, or is it creating like, "Ugh, I probably should do that, or I really do need to, I've spent money on that." That could be a sunk cost. It might be, maybe there's some other person out there that's looking to start that hobby that you can sell it to, or whatever, but you're getting it out of a toleration list and into something that's serving you because it's something you're excited about. Now I have a list. This comes from thespruce.com, and they have 7 tips for carving out hobby space in your home. So I'm going to run them down. Number 1, pick a spot, which we've talked about. So they say it could be a corner, it could be a little part of your kitchen table, it can be an area like a basement, or even like an extra closet. I did see a lot of pictures of this online where people, even if they left the doors on, but a lot of people took the doors off the closet and turned it into this like open like workspace with like a desk or something that they could go, and everything was like shelves above that really nicely organized it. Number 2, invest in multifunctional furniture. So they said like a folding table that you can take out and set up and use, and then pack away and get it out of the way if you don't have space to leave it up all the time, can be really handy. A desk with drawers can be handy, or a storage ottoman where you can store your supplies and use as seating when you're not working on your hobby. So I'm going to share a couple of pictures. So again, if you're listening to this podcast, I invite you to check out my YouTube channel, ADHD-Friendly, to see any of the visuals that are shared in this episode. I'm getting ready to share a bunch of them, guys. So this is an Elfa desk. So full disclosure, I get no benefit financially from anything you purchase from the Container Store, but this is a Container Store product that I used to help design when I worked at the Container Store as a closet designer years ago in a previous life, but I still have a lot of my Elfa products. I'm going to share a couple of them with you. But this is the Elfa Classic Desk with Drawer Unit. It's $299. If you buy anything from the Container Store, especially Elfa, Container Store is not the least expensive place to buy things, but they do tend to really stand the test of time in my experience. So sometimes it can be worth the investment to really get something that's going to work for you and be flexible over time. So this is the Elfa drawer unit, and you can get it with one set of drawers, or you can get the same on both sides, and you just have a little opening to pull your chair in the middle. That would add more to the price, of course, but this is just with the one set of drawers. I like the drawers because they're matched. I'm going to show you an example of that in a minute, where you can see into them. So again, keeping it insight in mind. One of my favorite things about a lot of the Elfa products is that they are designed to be visible and flexible and accessible, the 3 things that we need to be able to get to them most easily. Okay, so again, from thespruce.com, they said, make it portable. So maybe a small bag or a box that is easy to grab and go. So I have, you can't see my bottom shelves here, but I have my wonderful LL Bean tote. This is my library book bag. I grab and go. I keep everything I need for my book clubs in here, and I can just grab them. I also have on the bottom shelf, I'm going to slow down, you're going to have to edit that again, my knitting bag. Again, LL Bean. Had lots of pockets, lots of storage organization spaces. I keep all my needles and the current projects I'm working on, go right into it, and I easily grab it and go. So they're just on the bottom shelf now instead of, as you know, they used to be everywhere. So now that's their home. I come in and I know where they go, and I tuck them in, and when I'm ready to go out to take projects with me that I'm working on for my hobbies, I can grab them and go with them really easily. Storage carts with wheels, guys, this is my favorite. Okay, so I've got a couple of options here I'm going to share with you. The first, I'm going to talk about this one in a second. The first is, so these are rolling Elfa carts. You can get them with or without wheels. The wheels, of course, are extra. I will right past my markers, Becca. Right past my little like where you'd have optimum viewability for the podcast. So this is my brain. This is my brain on ADHD. This is what I'm calling a sewing cart. I would have loved this when my
Yeah.
kids were little.
Totally.
I took a sewing class. I learned how to make basic clothing when they were really young. I never did it because
Yeah.
I had an absolutely tiny space. I had 3 kids at the time, hadn't had my 4th yet. And there was no place I could keep it. I remember my husband saying, well, just get it out and do it. I'm like, I'm not going to get the sewing machine out and the
Yeah.
fabric and all the notions and then have to put it all away. So
Forget
it's
it.
like, you know, do it during nap time kind of thing, where if I had this, oh my gosh,
Just wheel it out.
game changer.
Yeah.
So the drawers, you can customize these carts. So I love, this one has 3 drawers this size, this kind of medium size, and 1 narrow. And here's the best thing. They make these little dividers. Now mine doesn't have a bunch of stuff in it yet.
The front door.
Oh, yeah, and they fit, but come on, it's a container store.
I love it.
So they can literally go in.
And you have even more organization.
It's lovely.
I love
It's a
it.
thing of beauty. And then they, of course, they make these little tags. Label maker is your friend.
Yeah, it is.
You just label it what you want. These are not current labels, but because I'm not using this as a sewing center. It's kind of like a temporary setup where I could just show you guys what this looks like. Because right now sewing is not one of my 3 hobbies.
Yeah.
So this is going to go back into a cabinet where it was all, but I wanted to just show you, I have fabric in the bottom 2 drawers. I have my little notions in my little sewing
Cute.
bin. And then I have space, if I was going to organize it all, put them in the top drawer. And then I have my machine, and on the side here, I just put the little pedal and they have like these little like baskets you can hang on the side for
Yeah.
extra storage. So versatile, so flexible. I have used these over the years for so many different things. I'm always changing them up based on how my interest in hobbies changes. I can repurpose it. And I've decided I'm actually going to change this up, Becca, and make this. I'm going to start a project. I'm kind of done with puzzles right now.
Yeah.
I like puzzles, but I'm going to stop having them finished and my husband like frames them for me. I've got puzzles all over the walls. It's a thing, which I enjoy, but it's enough. So I'm still going to do puzzles, but I'm just going to like put them in a box and donate them or whatever when I'm done. So I'm going to repurpose for my pictures, because what I realized when I was going around taking pictures of the yarn is I have lost track of my project to keep my pictures, getting them up to date. So I'm going to organize where I am with my picture project.
I love that.
And that way, when I'm ready to work on pictures, I can pull it out, have everything organized and ready to go, and it's going to be easy to access. Right now, they're still in a pile in the basement where I left them when I packed everything up, but I've not touched them since. So I'm like, that would make it sparkly again, and it's portable. That's my favorite thing. If you get a cart, the portable, because then if you need to go to a different room, or if you're like, oh, you know what, I want to spread this out on the kitchen table, it's just a game changer. So you're not like scratching it across the floor. You just take it, it's mobile, it goes with you. And then the other one I wanted to share is one I use in my office. And so I have these little dividers. I don't think I can take this guy out. Let me see if I have the stoppers on. I do. Let me take the stopper off and I can pull this out so you can see. Or I organize everything in it in the little divider. And then you slide it. And that's what I love about these guys. You can move them around. You can change the order of them. I have all my pens in one. Printer paper, colored paper, cardstock, everything organized. I can roll it around. I can put my printer on top. It's just another clear bin so I can see what I have. But these are great for like, if you need to go print, take it with you. Put it right on there. Leave it away. Done.
Love that.
Back against the wall, and it's not taking up any space whatsoever. Gotta grab my notes. All right. So make it portable. Make organizers your best friends. So stackable can be really good, but I do want you to keep in mind, if you stack it, you have to maybe take the top one off to get to the bottom one. I personally am not a huge fan of stacking because I won't do it.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, I don't want to have to get to this bin. I'll just tuck it on top of the bin on top, and I'll do it later. So that's something I would resist doing. So I invite you to notice if stackable works, or if stackable maybe drawers, so that you don't have to lift the top to get to it. So maybe a stackable drawer, but not a stackable bin. Might be something to think about if that would be an issue for you. Visible, clear bins.
Yep.
Now, if you don't want to see what's inside, you know, like this guy that just has storage, where I just have kind of like miscellaneous, my knitting winders and things. I don't need to see them. They're just right there. But generally I do want it visible. So think about what kind of bins will work for you. If you don't want to see it, a pretty bin can help to motivate you, but then how will you remember what's in there if you need a label for it? And then one thing I did see that I'm just going to highlight here, if you're storing something heavier, invest in a sturdier bin. So if you're like storing a bunch of paints and the bin breaks, you don't want that paint going everywhere. So it might be worth the extra few bucks to get a sturdier bin to store that. All right, so talking about these carts, I do want to share a couple of other options. So this is the Elfa, again, those were Elfa carts that I shared with you. It's set up as a gift wrap cart. And I actually have all of these things. I did this for a while when the kids were smaller and going to a lot of birthday parties. Same exact cart, different configuration. It has a little attachment that can hold all of your ribbon, has a little side bin that holds long rolls of paper. And this is $259.99. I think it's crazy when you like look at that and you're like, are you kidding me? $259 to organize gift wrap.
You're like, oh.
But like I said, I started out with it as a gift wrap.
And now
cart,
look at all.
And I just keep changing it up for what I'm using it for. So it's very flexible and adaptable, which is one of my criteria when I'm buying storage solutions for anything is, can I use it for something else if it doesn't work for this? All right, another option they have is the everything organizing baking cart. This is $167.99.
Cute.
Come on, this is bake.
And we love baking.
I know.
So
and that's true. It'd be, I guess, more impressive if it was like cooking.
Yeah.
But having everything stored in one place, you can just roll it out into your kitchen. It just makes you want to go and use it. It's like, oh, a new recipe. Let me go get my baking.
Let me just roll my cart out.
Come on, love it.
So cute.
So there's that guy. And then here, if you have like little kiddos, or even if you just want to have your own little library, your home library, this is a 3-tier rolling cart. This one's only $54.99. So this is the most price friendly of the options.
A little book.
Come on.
Shelf.
You could have that in one of your kiddos' rooms. You can have it in a playroom where you can just easily have it accessible. It's reading time. Let's go get the bins. And you just wheel it out. And then the kids know where it goes back to because it's so nicely organized. All right. 2 more things from thespruce.com. Number 6, they said, sprinkle in your personality. So make your hobby space inviting and inspiring. Show off your finished work or have an inspiration board for things you want to do. So I have one of my finished puzzles up here, which is my Peanuts puzzle, because it fit really nicely in this little space.
Totally does.
And I think, like my little bags and the glass jars, I think it feels like me. And other people might look at it and go, Patty, why are you putting urine in jars? I just think it looks like art.
I think it looks so pretty
really happy
and
with it.
fun.
And then number 7, purge and declutter. So eventually your system is going to need to be spruced up again, to be revisited, to make sure that everything that you have is still working. You might need to purge some things. Is there anything that's broken and isn't working anymore? Do you need to replace it? Do you need to fix it? Or maybe some things you have are no longer in style. And then you have to figure out something. I have to say, since I've organized my projects, I had 2 more in here that I fixed because they were so organized. It took me a couple of hours, and I knew it was one of the reasons I was resisting them, because it was going to take, I had to take out, I had cast off 2 projects and they were too tight.
So you had
I'm a tight knitter, and I had never undone it, and it was really overwhelming to me. But because it was so well organized, I just was able to grab it and sit down, and I knew I could put it back if I couldn't finish right away. I didn't feel like I had to commit, but yet I did, and I got them, and now they both work perfectly. So I got 2 functional pairs of socks out of something that I couldn't even use before, and they were just in a pile of, I need to do that someday. So think about how you would keep up with whatever system you create for yourself so that it's continuing to serve you and you're excited to use it. All right, now gotta quickly get to, that's it for organizing your hobbies. Again, episode 141, if you have some additional tips, we'd love to hear what works for you to keep up with your hobbies so they're staying sparkly and interesting for your brain. So my book of the week is called The Book of Charlie. This is by David Von, sorry David, it's one of those names. David Von Drehle. I don't know, Drehle. Looks like this. Really quick read. It's a nonfiction book about a man that lived to be 109. His neighbor, who met him when he was 102, when he was outside washing this 102-year-old man was outside washing his girlfriend's car, and the neighbor went out and introduced himself and wrote a book about his life. And so it basically takes you through the lifespan of someone who was born before like most homes had electric lights.
Yeah.
And automobiles.
Yeah.
To
Right, they still have horses and carriages.
to the time of the internet. So it's a very quick read. It was very sweet. I did get some nice little kind of like meaningful takeaways from some of the stories that he told. And one of the things was really just, kind of the thing that he leaned into the most was being open to change, right? If you can't go through the change that he went through in his lifetime more like easily, I can imagine how hard it would have been if he was like, I don't like that. He was like a new adopter. Every time something new came out, he was like how excited he was about it and like leaning into it.
Yeah.
And I thought I need to be more like that. So that was one of my takeaways was how can I kind of like tap into a little of that Charlie kind of spirit so that, so I can have that. All right. That's it for this episode. Again, episode 141. I invite you to post, share things that work for you. And as always, take what works for you, leave the rest behind. It's not ADHD friendly if we don't do that. That's it for this week. Check out our other offerings on ADHD-Friendly.com. Until next time, tally ho.